Like our video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.
Portugal and Spain gave us a fascinating match that was decided deep into second half added time. Let's break it down. Portugal was prepared to press high from the very first minutes, but the key aspect of their pressing was their man-oriented approach against Spain's holding midfielders. Their tactic was to deny Spain any progression through the center. Defensively, Portugal's overall structure often looked like a 4-4-2. Bruno Fernandes regularly tucked inside to block the passing lane into Rodri. Vitinha and João Neves were also ready to mark Spain's other central midfielders. The primary tactic was simple: completely shut down the middle of the pitch. As a result, Spain's right centre-back Cubarsí was often left with plenty of time and space on the ball. Within Spain's structure, he was expected to dictate the build-up. However, despite having that freedom, it was still extremely difficult for Spain to progress. They simply couldn't create numerical superiority in central areas. In this sequence, we can see that in addition to Portugal's two central midfielders, one of the centre-backs also steps forward aggressively. The goal was to prevent Spain attacking players from receiving between the lines. Ronaldo, meanwhile, rarely participated defensively, remaining higher up the pitch. Here is another example of Portugal's pressing. Bruno Fernandes immediately shifts inside to block the passing lane to Rodri. Only once Vitinha is in position to step higher and take Rodri, Bruno starts to press Cubarsí. Again, Spain's central options are completely blocked. Portugal's left winger positioned himself perfectly to deny any passing option to the half-space area, forcing Spain to play towards the wing. The battle on the flanks was another interesting aspect of Portugal's defensive approach, as they constantly tried to trap Spain in wide areas. We will come back to that shortly. Once again, we see Portugal doing everything possible to close the center and mark Spain's central midfielders tightly. It worked really well. Portugal's centre-backs were willing to step aggressively out of the defensive line whenever necessary. Their responsibilities were enormous. Not only did they have to defend proactively by stepping into the midfield to prevent Spain from creating overload centrally, but they also had to remain aware of runs in behind and control the depth. Whenever a Spanish player managed to receive between the lines, Portugal immediately collapsed on the receiver, preventing him from turning or carrying the ball forward. This sequence also highlights Portugal's defensive balance. As soon as a centre-back stepped out of the defensive line, a central midfielder immediately covered that space. Here, João Neves is already in position to track Spain's runs in behind. It's also worth highlighting just how aggressive Portugal's centre-backs were during the high press. In this example, one of them steps extremely high up the pitch. We see the same pattern again and again, where Portugal wins possession inside Spain's half thanks to the proactive defending. Even when Rodri did receive the possession, Bruno Fernandes positioned himself to block every central passing option. Rather than diving into challenges, he stayed directly in Rodri's passing lane and forced him to play it sideways. Another fascinating tactical battle took place on the wings. Spain constantly tried to isolate Yamal and create one-on-one situations for him. Portugal, however, handled this challenge extremely well. Nuno Mendes marked Yamal aggressively, while João Felix was responsible for Spain's right back. Whenever Yamal received the ball out wide, Felix immediately tracked back to provide support for his fullback. Mendes consistently defended Yamal in 1v1 situations, while Felix prevented him from cutting inside by blocking that route. João Neves also provided additional cover, shifting across to the flank whenever necessary and acting as another defensive support. The situation on the opposite flank was almost identical. It's also worth highlighting when Nuno Mendes stayed man-marking against Yamal. Even when Yamal drifted into the half space, while Spain's right back held the width, Mendes always prioritized tracking Yamal. As a result, Yamal had very few opportunities to influence the game. At times, Yamal had to drop much deeper into the midfield, simply to create enough separation from Mendes. Only now Mendes stopped following him. There were the moments when Yamal could receive possession in central areas without immediate pressure. He deliberately dropped into midfield several times for exactly that reason. But even in this example, we can see Portugal's left winger tracking back and winning the ball, Overall, Portugal's defensive organization was outstanding, with every player showing excellent discipline. Of course, during the whole game, Spain had few opportunities to receive between the lines and build attacks. They managed to do so on several occasions. In this sequence, Dani Olmo receives the ball between the lines and is immediately in possession to play a through ball into his teammate. Looking at Portugal's attacking structure, both João Neves and Vitinha frequently dropped deeper to operate as a deep line playmakers. Portugal's left winger often drifted inside, allowing the left back to provide the width. This has also created opportunities for Portugal to switch the play with long diagonals and find Nuno Mendes in space. Another important detail was Bruno Fernandes' positioning. He frequently dropped towards the left side, combining with Mendes through quick one-touch passing and helped Portugal progress from defense into attack. Alternatively, Vitinha could push higher and provide Bruno with another passing option to continue the attack. In general, Bruno Fernandes constantly drifted towards the flank, and this triangle on Portugal's left side was probably the most important mechanism for progressing the ball. Naturally, mistakes still happened. Spain was able to intercept passes, regain possession, and launch dangerous counters. One such transition could have resulted in a goal, but Oyarzabal failed to score. João Neves occasionally occupied a wider position near the touchline, looking to play through balls into the winger's run, while Vitinha would sometimes continue his movement and attack the space behind the Spain's defensive line. A very similar pattern existed on the right side as well. Bruno Fernandes could receive the ball in a wide position before looking for runners attacking the space in behind. Portugal also did an excellent job of occupying the penalty area. They usually had 3 players attacking the box, creating several dangerous opportunities both from the open play and set pieces. The best chance probably came when Nuno Mendes struck the crossbar. However, as the match went on, Spain became increasingly comfortable, exploiting small weaknesses in Portugal's structure. They started finding passing lanes between the lines much more frequently. Here, Spain's left winger finds space between the lines, receives the ball, turns towards the goal, and immediately looks to play a defense-splitting pass. Whenever Spain managed to gain possession in these dangerous pockets, Portugal reacted immediately by stepping forward aggressively to prevent any further progression. But sometimes Spain's technical quality made the difference. Their players beat defenders in one-on-one situations and creating shooting opportunities for teammates, just as we see in this sequence. The winning goal arrived unexpectedly. First, Portugal committed a foul in midfield. While several Portugal's players were still protesting the referee's decision, Ruben Dias deserves credit for immediately pointing out the player who needed to be marked. Spain quickly restarted play, taking the free kick before Portugal had fully reorganized. What followed was a brilliant combination. This was probably one of the very few occasions in the match where Spain managed to position 2 players between Portugal's lines close enough to combine with each other. Even before receiving the ball, Ferran Torres already recognized that his teammate was close enough for a quick combination. Dias stepped out aggressively, which was the correct decision, trying to prevent Torres from turning and blocking the passing lane. However, he couldn't stop the combination. The bigger question concerns Portugal's left centre-back. Why didn't he narrow his position and shifts across to the right to cover the space that had opened up? In the end, Merino finished the move, sending Spain into the next round. From a tactical view, this was a fascinating match. Cristiano Ronaldo's final appearance in a Portugal shirt ended in disappointment. But in terms of overall organization, this was probably Portugal's best performance of the tournament. I honestly expected this match to go to extra time, but overall I was really impressed by the quality shown by both teams. Spain was the more attacking side, while Portugal defended with excellent organization and discipline, which made this an interesting tactical battle to watch. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you like Portugal's performance? Does Spain have a chance of winning the World Cup? If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more in-depth tactical breakdowns throughout the World Cup.